You know, some people enjoy composing their own music, chord by chord, and others are happiest when they come across that one perfect song. Work is not a lot different than that. Whether you prefer building your own workflow or using a pre-made template, with Monday.com, you and the team can work in a way that's comfortable for everyone. Tap the banner to go to Monday.com and build your own amazing workflow, or find an awesome template. No judgment.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for Season 12, Episode 11, titled One Queen Show. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by one charming cheat. From the podcast pod is my co-pilot. Please say...
And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
To Taylor, the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor, the Latte Boy.
Hello, Joseph. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, and we have a very special guest today because, you know, we're talking about improv and sketch comedy. Where do you want to be from, Jay?
I'm still doing things for AfterBuzz, so that works for me. But Afterthought, too, I'm doing it for both you guys. I could just be Jay Ellis. That's just a thought.
Wonderkind, Jay Ellis.
Yeah.
Well, then...
Bon vivant.
I also don't know why you keep booking me on these chicken shit gigs. I'm a future Oscar winner.
All right, then.
He's Jay, bitch.
Well, give it up for one... please say...
Where is the fish?
To Jay Ellis. Hello, Jay.
Hi. Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah. My signature sign-on.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing very well. Now, Jay, you know, for Patreon subscribers, we run a contest. Where they can win a $50 prize if they guess clip 0, those quotes. And they had 2 chances today. Those quotes are called clip 0. And I got to tell you something. Guys, you have to learn to think like Joe. A lot of the quotes people put in there, no one got it. No one got any. In fact, I pulled 4 and no one got any of the 4. They went with the really obvious ones. They went with like RuPaul said like, play with my hole. Because I'm like, if they're trying to be double entendre, I'm not going to use it, right? Here were the other 2. Here were the other 2 I didn't go with. There's this one.
I'm trying to be like a whoopee.
Okay. And then there's this one.
Now, where's Oprah?
I don't know why. But no one named any of those 4. They were all like about... These were quotes I didn't even know.
Were those both Jada?
No, the last one was Whoopi.
One was Whoopi.
She said,
"Oh,
now where?" I didn't understand what that. Did you get that joke, Taylor? It was on the runway.
Well, because she was wearing the color purple, and they were
co-stars.
I have to go.
All right, sounds good.
I'll be right back.
All right.
It's because of Celia and because Oprah and Whoopi, didn't they play sisters in The Color Purple?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we? So Taylor had to go take care of something personal, some personal business.
He left something in the Interiors Illusion Lounge.
All right, here we go. This week, the queens impersonate their competitors in a puppet mini challenge. For the Maxi Challenge, the top 6 create and perform their own one queen shows. On the runway, the category is The Color Purple. Crystal entertains the judges and takes her first win of the season, while Heidi and Jada flatline and find themselves in the bottom 2. After a lip-sync battle for their lives, Jada is told, "Shantae, you stay," while Heidi Aphrodite is asked to sashay away. Jay Ellis, please name 2 things you liked about the episode and 1 thing you did not.
One major thing I really loved was having Whoopi Goldberg there as a director. As much of a presence as she was there for the comedy show, there for the direction, and I watched her in Untucked, and I feel like she was just a great person to come into the show and really give advice for this specific challenge, especially because that's where she got her start, was doing a one-woman show. I also thought that Ross Matthews, his commentary on he had every critique that I had during his judging panel. So I really thought he was spot on with all of his criticisms. So I thought he did a really good job this episode. Mm-hmm. And then the thing I didn't like was the puppet challenge. What happened? It was, I thought, one of the worst, probably the worst one that I think I've seen come out of the show. But what about you?
Well, let me comment on the puppet challenge, because I guess I'll give my comment on the actual puppet challenge, because I don't have those things. What I have are RuPaul's comment. Girl, you got she-mail.
Yeah, She already done had hers.
Please send all email to thebestoftoday@gmail.com. By the way, I've done that joke before. That's Lori's email address.
Right.
And I've done that joke a couple of times. And about a week ago, Lori got an email saying, Joe, you need to call me right now. A phone number. I'm not going to call that. Can you imagine me going like, well, the person said I have to call them. Then I may have to call them. So, Anyway, RuPaul's comment about the final 6 at the end was not wrong. Yeah. It's probably, from what I can tell, I'm still trying to get to the top 6 for season 6. But it might be the strongest top 6 in the history of the show.
I agree. I think that even if they're not performing all the time fantastic, they're still interesting contestants that I am interested in what they're going to be doing. Yeah. They've all had such like peaks and valleys that they've been fun to watch.
Yeah. The other thing I liked is, and I don't know what it is, the way Crystal Method moves, the way the facial expression she makes, the way she moves her body, just being her, I find it incredibly sexy. Am I wrong?
I'm trying to think of a specific. Are you talking about when she was doing the strip routine?
No. Well, that's part of how she moves. But no, just the way she just moves, just the way she just flounces around. Here's the deal, though, and I've said this before. I am a sucker for a femi guy. Like the more feminine, the better. And he has very like cutesy girl body movement, body language, and I'm here for it. I think the way. I feel like I was actually working on my Crystal Method confessional impression.
Yeah.
I feel everything's like, am I wrong? Like, no, like, I'm not going to be wearing that. Come on. I'm going to miss Heidi. So, like, it's just always like, I'm confused.
Their vocal pattern reminds me a lot of Jonathan Van Ness from Game of Thrones. If I feel like they have the same cadence in their voice for sure.
That's where you went, Jonathan Van Ness of Game of Thrones. I mean, I know that's where he's from, but don't you think he's more well known for Queer Eye?
Yeah, I don't watch Queer Eye though, so I know him more from Game of Thrones.
Okay,
I know him from real life.
Yeah,
if I'm honest.
Do you really know him IRL?
Yeah, we did a show at AfterBuzz called Gay Weekly Roundtable.
Oh, when was the last time you saw her IRL?
Before Queer Eye even happened, so it's been a while.
Mm-hmm. Is it weird to have a friend that blew up like that?
And I say friend, I mean, this is like
You told me he was your best friend in private.
Right, we are, yes. So it is very strange to see my best friend changing lives and just making miracles happen. Mm-hmm. But as far as Crystal, I am a convert from episode 1 to where we are now with Crystal. Her and Jada, it's for me a 2-horse race for them to win. I would be happy with really any of them taking the crown, with really the exception of one, but we'll get there. I really want Jada or Crystal to win, and I have fallen in love with Crystal. I've like taken the magic pill.
Mm-hmm. I'm like you, I'm a convert, but I was a convert episode 1. I was not. If you hear the Meet the Queens episode, I thought she was gone episode 1. What I've learned, like I don't. Sometimes I go, what was I thinking? I still actually, I can see why I thought that. She doesn't have the most confidence in a confessional or interview type situation. So it came off as her lack of confidence or insecurities came off as like, oh, she goes home early. That was the only reason I thought that. And so I don't walk that back because that's the way she comes off. But episode 1, the second I just got it when she walked in the workroom, I was like, oh shit, she's the real deal. And Crystal's movement, and you said RuPaul kind of complimenting the top 6, but what's your thing you didn't like? I did not like that whole one-woman show challenge. I just really didn't. I felt it was... it's not even necessary to fault the girls. I feel that the challenge was, A, too ambitious for the show, for the time frame that they have and how much time they gave the girls. 2, it was unclear exactly what they wanted. And you and I will get into that, I think, when we talk about the show. But it was unclear what they wanted from the show.
Or at least it wasn't telegraphed to us properly.
Yeah, but even then, that's why I want to get into it, because, Lori got into this. Lori Roggenkamp from our other shows, who's also a Los Angeles improv and sketch comedy legend. If there's a Mount Rushmore of sketch and improv, Lori Roggenkamp will play the mountain. But the point is, she would also have her face on there, just by virtue of being the mountain, though. So, she was talking about, I think she's right, that this was more of a character showcase than it was a one-person show. It was like if you were doing an SNL audition, you might do something like this. And one of the things I said was to encourage you, kind of what they were looking for is to look up Will Ferrell's audition on YouTube. For some reason, that's on YouTube, his SNL audition. And he's doing just character after character, like really quick vignettes of the characters. But I'm sure you have a lot to say about that. Because you went all the way through the Groundlings, or...
I went up to the advanced lab, and then I switched to UCB.
Oh, okay. So you didn't go to writing?
I didn't do writing at Groundlings. No, I do writing at UCB.
Okay.
Yeah.
But everyone should know, so Groundlings has a very, hierarchical class structure. And you have to, when you get to the higher ones, you have to wait years sometimes to get a spot in the class. But then when you get to a certain point, then there's the end of the line, and they make a decision whether you're going to join the Groundlings or not.
It's also important to know that major impressionists or people with huge characters come out of Groundlings, whereas more improv, just kind of quick people are based more out of UCB. Like you'll see a Kristen Wiig who's done Target Lady. She has Gilly, a bunch of huge characters came out of Groundlings, whereas like Amy Poehler, who's just known for like a quicker wit and just like a sitcom funny and timing, is a UCB founder. So just the difference that you might see.
Yeah. All right. After the non-elimination, Heidi and Jackie return to the workroom hand in hand. Heidi thinks Jackie had a epiphany, and the queens discuss their track records. Gigi is threatened by Jada and frustrated that nobody went home last week. Jada, do you have any thoughts on this? I usually let the conversation bleed into the episode, but this one was so separate from the episode. Did you have any talking points about what happened during that first act?
Yeah, I don't know why Heidi Epiphany isn't a contender for her name if she wants to switch. I thought the most interesting part of the cold open was just Jada talking about her wins and Gigi kind of still being mad that there's 6 contestants in there. Where if you really do think about it, how frustrating is that as a contestant to think, now there might be a double sachet and I might be one of the ones up for elimination during that chance. So I think Gigi's strategically thinking, I haven't been doing so well in the competition lately. So if they just save 2, maybe there's a double elimination and I might be victim of that.
Interesting.
So that's kind of where I thought the frustrations may have come from. But it's also, I mean, every time you see it, the viewers love that we got to save Heidi last week. I kind of wish that the double Shantae You Stay happened this week because I liked both of those contestants a little more than Jackie Cox. But I just could see how frustrating it is to be in the competition and to not see progress. You're just stagnant now. It kind of got glossed over because of the Gigi drama and just talking. I don't know why, but you're right. Jada makes a really good point that not only does she have 3 wins, but she has 3 wins on 3 different fronts. So it's so not only does she have 3 wins, but it's showing what a well-rounded queen she has. She has a looks win, an acting win, and a dancing win. And it really just reminded me of how, I was a latecomer on Jada. Not because I never disliked her, but I think she was sort of hidden throughout the show. We didn't get to really know, when there were a lot of queens on the show, we didn't really get a chance to know her, but as we've gotten to know her, I really like her. Which is funny because I believe Trixie Mattel has sort of talked about this on social media, which is because they know each other from back in the day. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she was like, don't sleep on Jada kind of thing. Like, she's really, really, really strong. And I think we've really, really, really seen that. Going to Gigi's comments, I feel it's something that the show really tried to play up, but I don't think it was that big of a deal. Like, I think that she was making a comment. I think the girls took the comment for what it was. okay? But the show tried to play it up like they were just like really offended. But I even feel like Jackie's open mouth, like aghast look on her face was almost out of fun. Like, I think they get it. And we've seen moments like this on the show when the girls are really pissed that came up. And it didn't seem like that. It's a point that I have later where it's one of these things where all the girls get along and you can tell they're really sisters and they're really good friends. And that's great just for society, but it's not necessarily makes the best television. That makes sense.
Right. Yeah, so producers are trying to pick up these moments of like, we still have drama, guys. Look at this drama.
Well, you and I both laugh at the bumpers and out of the commercials.
I almost had a joke today where I was like, so I stopped at this point in the commercial. I assumed that they did terrible because that's just what they showed. And then meanwhile, Gigi's getting laughs. I'm like, so it's so fake the way that they shoot those things.
Especially going into the Elimination Day, right before the Elimination Day commercial, they show Jackie saying like, you got to get out of Ram's sewer. And they show Heidi like looking back like, is this girl for real? And you're like,
yeah.
That's not what it was about. Like that's the thing. Why does no one talk to them? They just openly lie. We're going to lie to you.
We will find out where you actually put that moment. Like that, I think they think that we're not going to keep watching because that moment of, the way they put it in was of Heidi being confused that she didn't know who Rose was from Golden Girls. Isn't that right? Like, isn't that where it actually fit in the show?
Right,
yeah.
No, Heidi did. Jada didn't know who it was. Did you say?
No, Jada didn't know.
Yeah, Jada didn't know. Yeah. But I get the sense even Jada knew, she just didn't know her full name. I know people who know the girls and don't know her name was Rose Nyland.
That was me. I was like, I don't know who Rose Nyland is, but then as soon as Rose happened, I was like, oh, okay, Rose is more iconic than Rose Nyland. Yeah,
so even that wasn't that big of a moment,
Yeah.
Like, yes, I don't think you have to be that hard of... okay, could you name the Golden Girls in their full names? We know Rose Nyland.
No, I could just do first names.
You can't do last names of anybody.
Blanche Devereaux?
Blanche Devereaux. Dorothy.
Okay. Hamill. I'm just doing word association.
Which is such an old school reference. She's a 1970s Olympic skater. No, Dorothy's Bornek. And then...
Well, then that's her mom's name too, right?
Nope, because that was her
married
name.
Dorothy's married.
Yeah,
never
mind. Sophia's last name is?
So, hold on. Sofia Vergara.
No, Petrillo. You have gays across the country right now banging their fists on the steering wheel.
Right to best of this week.
right to the best of today at gmail.com with your complaints about that.
Best of the day. Okay.
The best. The poor person who has that email who's getting those things. All right, here we go. The next day, RuPaul entered the workroom to announce this week's mini challenge.
For today's mini challenge, we're going to have ourselves a good old-fashioned bitch fest. And we're going to do it with puppets. Why? Because everybody loves puppets. God, I missed this challenge.
All right, one by one, the queens reach into a hole to claim their puppet. Heidi draws Jada's puppet, Jackie draws Sherry draws Heidi draws Crystal, Jada draws Gigi, and Gigi ends up with Jackie. In the end, Jackie Cox lands up winning her third mini challenge. J. Ellis, please, can you name two things about this challenge and want to know. What were your thoughts? I know you had thoughts on the puppet challenge. What were your thoughts there?
Well, my overall thought was that it was one of the worst puppet shows that we've had. Uh-huh. And as an adult man, I'm very mad that I didn't get a good puppet show. The confusing thing to me is Jackie is the winner for Sherry Pie, who is a character in the show that we do not know. So we are not in on the jokes. We do not know what she's referencing. They even cut a lot of Sherry's reads of Heidi. Mm-hmm. They didn't show anything. So it's just we're not in on the jokes that were being shown. Yeah. And I think that was true for a lot of the people too. Like the who had Look Over There. That was Crystal had Jada. And that was really the only one that I was like, oh, I can reference that and remember it. And I don't know. I feel like the puppet challenge is always a time to do another reading challenge now that you know the contestants and really show physical things. So by Jackie having a beard on Gigi's puppet, Gigi had the Jackie puppet and had it have like a 5 o'clock shadow. That's a smart read because now you're picking up on things that RuPaul and others have said on stage or on the main stage, and you're saying, "Look, I'm listening to your criticisms of my competitors." So I don't know. It was such a strong one. To make it easier for me when I'm taking notes for the show, I always do like real quick dashes, and I have like sad faces for every single contestant, and usually there's like a somewhere in there where I laugh along with them, and it wasn't it for me.
Well, it was what I was speaking about earlier, which is look, I'm glad that they all get along and that it's great, but it doesn't necessarily make for great television, which is funny because the puppet challenge is a way to poke gentle fun at people. The thing with Sherry Pie, you're right, when Jackie did it, they were laughing, but to me I was thinking, oh, this must have really happened. We just didn't see it, but I think this moment really, really happened, and we were just deprived of that moment because of the Sherry Pie edit. And I think we would have thought it was funny if it was for that. I have my notes. Yeah, Crystal, I just have meh, for the portrayal of Jada. Jada as Gigi, I was like, what are we doing here? I don't even know what this, like, I guess, a Maria the Robot thing.
Yeah.
Sherry Pie's take on Heidi, I will admit, was kind of funny, but again, there's such a stench with her that I just can't laugh. I just don't laugh. When you're looking objectively, like she had the jokes. With Gigi as Jackie, that one was like, do you have mental problems? She was like making these jokes, and she was the only one from what the edit was. Guys, everyone should know they could make it so that it looks like that's just what happened. But like she was laughing so hard at her own joke that I was like, and they made it seem as if nobody was laughing, that they were just staring at her. And then Heidi's Crystal was just very like. Here's the thing, and I think you were talking about this. You would think that we would get better puppet things because from what they did, with the exception of Jackie's take on Sherry Pie, just the little we've seen on them on the television show, we could have done these versions of them on the puppet. Whereas you would think that these people who know them much more intimately would have better takes on this or funnier takes, and they really didn't. So,
well, and it's strange too because we had the FabFitFun box challenge. I forget what it was, but essentially the reading challenge where I thought Jackie excelled in that one and had quick come ups. And so for, I guess, like Jackie to win, I get it, but it's just, we were given this like quote unquote character on TV that has been so edited out of the show that we don't know. Yeah. We don't know if those are true. Real quick, who would you want to have, based on what we've seen on the show, who would you want who would you hope the producers were holding up in that hole for you to reach in and grab?
Oh, for myself?
Yeah, like who do you think? I feel like Heidi would be an easy to make fun of.
Okay, Jay. Well, yeah, wasn't everyone who missed it? You missed a very visual puppet show that I did,
and it looked just like me.
Yeah, the only reason it looked just like Jay, except I had more clothes on.
Yeah,
Jay's constantly nude. Would you ever do a nude thing, Jay? The part we're right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I did. I've done rear nudity already before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I feel like if it's an important part of what's happening in the script, like they were having sex. I was like, of course I have to, that's part of what would be happening in the movie. So, yeah.
Do you work out extra special for that? Like, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be showing tell me about this.
Well, yeah. Once I officially got it, I had 2 weeks of prep time, and I was like, that's it. Like, we're cutting every fun drink from Starbucks, I'm going extra hard at the gym. I especially hit my butt a lot at the gym.
Yeah, a lot of squats. Do you make sure your butt is extra clean that day? Not that you don't think it's clean anyway, but are you
Yeah, normally it's crusty and gross, so I just made sure to hop in the shower before I went on set. Yeah. I don't remember having that worry, so I guess that wasn't one of my concerns.
Oh, well, excuse us, Mr. All the Time Clean Butt. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Next, RuPaul announced this week's Maxi Challenge.
For this week's Maxi Challenge, your charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent will be center stage as you create and perform your own one-woman, or should I say, one drag queen show. Hashtag Drag Race. Now, you can play multiple characters or just be yourself. Anything goes. Now, you'll be performing in front of a live audience. And Jackie Cox, you won the mini challenge, so you get to create the show order.
As the winner of the mini challenge, Jackie assigned the order in which the queens will perform. Jackie chose to go first, followed by Crystal, Heidi, Gigi, then Sherry Pie. Nobody wanted to go last, but Jada reluctantly agreed to close the show. I don't have a discussion point here, but let's just cover this part right here, and then we'll go to break. What were your thoughts on this, on Jackie having to do the order and choosing the order and whatnot?
I always think it's such a punishment to win the mini challenge and assign the orders, because there's always going to be one person who's not happy, at least one person who's not happy with their order. But with these kind of things, I don't know how it works, if it would be more beneficial to be first, middle, or last, because at a roast, I know you've said you always want to be first because you get all your big punches and jokes out before anybody else can. Mm-hmm. But I know typically you want to build up to the headliner. So I don't know what would be the ideal spot, but I feel like somewhere in the middle would be a great thing. So I think she really did the other queens a solid. I don't know why she went first, especially.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Because essentially what they were looking for was stand-up, even though a version of stand-up. It wasn't a roast. It was a version of stand-up. The reason in a roast that you want to go first is when everyone's talking about the same topic. Well, you want to be the one that has the first crack at it. Mm-hmm. But in this case, they were all able to do their own characters. So yeah, you don't want to go first. And I actually feel it was very puzzling to me why Jackie didn't put Sherry Pie at the end. Nobody wanted to be in the end. Sherry Pie explicitly said, I don't want to be last, but all the girls wanted to be in the middle. I would have been like, Sherry, bitch, you're going last, because I wrote that in my notes before she even ran the light. I said, she has to go. She is such. We've seen there's a history of her having such a big personality in the challenges that you wouldn't want anybody to follow her. She would need to close the show. Bitch, you're closing the show. And I don't know why Jada had to do that when if you want the show to be the best way. And I don't think Jackie did it out of, from what we've seen from the girls, they don't do things in spite. You know, I think she thought that would be the best, but that was a poor decision. Once again, though, and I bring this up many times, supposedly Jada has some sort of like theatrical comedy showcase, improv comedy experience. You'd think she would know that. It's a very, very strange decision that she made there.
Yeah. Okay. You mean Jackie or Jada? Sorry,
no, I meant Jackie. I meant Jackie. She had that. So you think she would know how to do the lineup for that particular case? All right. Here's what we're gonna do, Jay. We're gonna take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's going to be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
All right, and we're back. Whoopi Goldberg joins Rue to coach the rehearsal after Jackie bombs. Rue advises her to be vulnerable. Heidi wants to emulate her family. Whoopi coaches Heidi how to act drunk. Crystal plans to play a male exotic dance instructor. Sherry plans on playing a psychic goldfish. Jiggy portrayed the flight attendant on a plane to hell. And Rue and Whoopi... The fuck is wrong?
Do you want to do it over?
Yeah, Rue and Whoopi tell Jada to slow down before she breaks out in tears and gets a hug from Whoopi. Your thoughts on this? I have it down here as rehearsal, but it's not a rehearsal. It was like a weird note session that gave him no notes whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I said at the top of the show that I liked Whoopi being in this position. I thought it was interesting that Rue decided that this one she would sit in on because she's with an EGOT winner.
Exactly.
Because normally it would have been Michelle or Ross if it was like a Bob Harper. But all of a sudden Rue has time.
Yeah, Rue suddenly has time. Yeah.
Now that I heard that clip a little earlier that she said it could be anything you want, a bunch of characters, your own life story, whatever you want to do. It was interesting to see how these contestants took that and what their choices were. So I guess going down the line, do you want to talk about Jackie or how do you want to handle the rehearsals? Because it was, or just an overall, how you thought the whole section was run. Because I thought Evie Oddly gave great notes.
You talking about Whoopi? You're calling her Evie Oddly?
Exactly. She really upped her snatch game.
Oh, did Edie play Whoopi? Oh, that's right, she did. I forgot about that. Wow, that's. I just have general notes about the segment. Do you have notes about each person?
I did. Yes, but overall, I think that my overall thing was that Whoopi was just like, let's go back to the drawing boards on some of these things.
Yeah. Well, look. This is what I said. First of all, let's talk about Jackie Cox. Mm-hmm. Again, somebody who supposedly has sketch and improv experience. I hear one woman show, I would have immediately. That's why there's a part of me that thinks, hear me out, because Jackie Cox is a very smart person. She studies this show. Okay, she cracked the code. Say hello to my little friends. Okay, and I wonder if this was all on purpose. And it's a risky thing because ultimately Jackie delivers a performance, we'll talk about it later, that is more in line with a one-person show. Okay? Yeah. Why would she go out there with essentially a half-assed stand-up act? Which is what it was. It was like, that was when you're going to like actors taking comedy classes, stand-up comedy classes 101. That's what they do. Like, hey, so there's usually a moat right here, and if I wear green, then you just see a fin come up. You know, you're just like,
yeah,
what the fuck? What is she doing? Is that even good stand-up? It was like, it was weird.
Do you think that she had the plan? Because something made Whoopi say, I don't do stand-up, but I'm a great storyteller.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes me think that somewhere in that, Jackie said to them, I was kind of considering talking about my journey of becoming a drag queen from who I am. And then I think that we got a really stripped down edit. Mm-hmm. I think that the core idea was there from the beginning and we just didn't see it.
Okay. I could buy into that. Because it seems it seems odd and that she went in with one idea and came out with exactly what I don't know. It was very, very bizarre. Exactly what she should have done in the first place. She went in and she came out with it. I don't know. Very strange. When Ru gives advice about vulnerability, she is so right. Now, not to tip my hand a little bit, often not by the audience, but by co-hosts, one that rhymes with Rayla the Latte Boy, I've been sort of admonished for... I've been sort of admonished for... in fact,
did somebody say my name?
Yes, exactly.
I was gonna say I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Taylor's back, everybody.
Code.
I knew in advance Taylor had to take an important phone call, so it was from the president.
Oh, and his heels are click clacking about.
Yeah. But Taylor, what I was talking about is when RuPaul makes the point about vulnerability, and for people to connect with you, you have to be vulnerable. I feel there have been times when you've admonished me for making myself too open to the audience, too vulnerable. Maybe not the audience in the public feed, but the Patreon feed gets to see me throw tantrums, gets to see me cry. There was an episode, I don't even know if it's still on the Patreon, where Lori and I had a very, very not funny, in-depth talk about our family life and depression. Yeah. So what do you think about that, Taylor?
I think it's walking a fine line. You don't want to leave. I kind of was listening to the last minute or so of what you all were talking about before I came back in. And I think that Ru is right that, if we put it out on the table, it helps us to see who the real person is and gets us to where we fall in love with them. Mm-hmm. The problem is if you put too much out on the table, there's nothing left for you to hold on to. And then everything is focused on what others think of you versus on what you think of yourself. Mm-hmm. So it becomes a learning how to walk that tightrope of being vulnerable and showing who you are in a way that allows you some autonomy with it.
Jay, you want to weigh in this?
Well, it's interesting because I think that all of the contestants were trying to do something in that vein. Like Heidi was trying to show us who she is based on characters around her. So what Jackie did that was smart was by placing her mother in one spot. We knew that when she walked over to the stage in that one spot, that was her mom's voice, and that was going to be telling the story for that. When she walked over to another stool and put on a different set of glasses, that was her dad's spot. so we got to see a vulnerability from Jackie from these different storytellers, even though her story was the one that was at the core. Whereas with Heidi and Jada, who were telling stories, they weren't really giving us an in or somebody to latch onto and to know what their overall story was. So I think that Jackie succeeded in the challenge by doing a one woman. There was a beginning, a middle, and an end. It was a coherent storyline, which is where I think Jackie succeeded specifically.
Yeah. Now, Taylor, when we finish this segment, I want to hear your general thoughts about everything leading up to this. I'll ask you some questions, do the interview, but I want to make it known, and this is really this is what I've been waiting the entire time to say. I would wear Whoopi's outfit.
The caftan?
Yeah, any kind of caftan or muumuu. I'm ready for them to make like male muumuus.
Boo-boos? Is that a muumuus? Boy muumuus?
Yeah. I have a caftan. Maybe before the end of the show, I'll put it on. I went and bought it.
What a treat.
Let's be honest, it's a caftan. Okay. Now, another thing that I want to comment, and RuPaul says this, and Jade, this is where I want your expertise to come in here. She said, we just want it to be funny. And a one-person show doesn't have to be funny. I mean, what's the one that a Bronx Tale is very not funny? And that came from a one-man show. Tell us about that, Taylor. I mean, not Taylor, but Jay. You're our resident expert in this. Tell us about that.
Thank you. I'm trying to think, because back to that clip again, it says it could be anything from you or characters that you play. I think that they were expecting. UCB does this thing called Characters Welcome, where performers can go up and just try characters and see where they get their laughs. It's basically a beat board where you say, I want to do this character. I have a broad idea. I'm going to do a monologue, essentially a 2-minute monologue, which 5 minutes is, when you really think about it, 5 minutes is tough to fill.
It is.
Especially in a day, to come up with material for 5 minutes. And so this Character's Welcome really tries to hammer out the parts that people like. So for Ru to say we just want it to be funny, I don't know if that was specific to who was she talking to Jackie at that point, or Heidi? Or do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay, so because Jackie's, I wouldn't really classify it as funny. That wasn't it. I wasn't rolling with laughs or anything.
No.
So I don't know if you're giving a challenge, then you wanted a character study. It sounded like if you wanted these people to do improv monologues.
But I would make the argument, because Lori and I agree on this. I don't know if you agree with this, Jay. Is I feel if you're talking about the challenge being a one-person show, Jackie won the challenge, but that's not who they gave the challenge to. They gave it to Crystal, who made them laugh.
I agree with you. Jackie, for me, had a clear concept and executed it correctly. If it's a one-woman show or a one-person show, whatever you want to call it, Jackie had a point of view, a beginning, middle, and end, and it told a story.
What are your thoughts on that, Taylor?
Most, if you've ever seen Whoopi Goldberg's Broadway show from the 80s, I remember they showed it on HBO, and it was something that we used to watch all the time, my sister and I, and we used to make, we would make, quote lines from it and that sort of stuff. It definitely is. There are funny parts, but there are also very serious parts too. And Jackie's, I thought, was closest to what Whoopi used to do back in the 80s. So I agree. I feel like, it was sort of like Crystal's was funny, but Crystal's was sort of like kind of being a clown, versus Jackie's was a poignant, it was a tale where you got to know who Jackie was versus Crystal.
Well, yeah,
right.
And we talked about it at the top of the show, Taylor, which is essentially what they were doing. What Crystal did was a character piece that you would do if you were auditioning for SNL. And I don't know, it was very, very strange. And let's talk about Gigi Good and her breakdown, because Ru told her to put the script down and talk from herself. She's a crazy person, right?
In the hands of somebody else, if this was a Bianca Del Rio piece, my God, like roasting the crowd and doing what's it called? What's it like? Audience participation, but there's like a specific name where you're crowd work. Thank you. Where you're like talking. If this was in the right hands as a character, as a flight attendant on a flight to hell, and the reasons why people are there, this could have been spectacular. Yeah. I think Gigi was not the right person for that character.
Yeah, it was very Groundlings. I could see, and the Groundlings is a very like definite, like it's almost like SNL type, but and they play games where the commercials are essentially. And there's a part like in the middle where one of them will come out as a character and interact with the audience. And it felt very that. But that even is like 20 minutes long. That's not 5 minutes. You need more than 5 minutes to do that. But I'm talking specifically, we're not at that part, Jade. Thanks for fucking up the show. I'm talking about her breakdown during the rehearsal, where she starts crying because they asked her to like do improv and speak from the heart. There's something about her. Jackie has this element, but now that Gigi's starting to crack, we're starting to see it with her, where there's this veneer, and when it's not perfect and studied, when you ask her to be something that's not studied, she crumbles. Yeah, she doesn't know how to be her.
Yeah. When you combine that with the kind of decline that Gigi's doing over the course of the last couple of episodes, of where she started off so strong and now she's either safe or in the bottom half every week, I think that she is somebody who, I mean, something that we have talked about, you and I have talked about on this show, is the level of polish that she has, and that she is very close to being perfection when she is performing as far as her looks and stuff. And she has an arsenal of when she has to do comedy. We've talked about, you brought up perfectly a couple weeks ago.
Thank you.
Either last week or the week before. The whole Kate McKinnon, that she's really doing Kate McKinnon characters that she's seen on SNL.
Yeah.
And so I think going into this, she's realizing that her toolbox or her weapon arsenal doesn't have what she needs for this. So she thought, well, I have to try to look as perfect as I can through this. So I'm going to read from a script and I'm going to have it where it's all figured out. And when they said to her, put the script down, just go from the heart, she didn't have the ability to grab something quick enough.
No, you're right. Jay, you want to weigh in on this?
The only thing I would say about that is we think in Snatch Game it's really improv, which if you look at the ad-libs in between answers, it's improv. You're interjecting yourself. And we saw Gigi excel at times when she had to write on paper, but she also had that moment delay to really play that Maria the Robot, where she was like, think of something funny, think of something snarky, which I think is her default, like be bitchy. And that's her character that she plays very well. That when she is left to improv, it's not everybody has that. It's if you don't have that muscle built up, it's hard to ask somebody just to improv if they never have tried. So I don't know. She was depending on a script, and I think she went out there with the script. And so that's where the breakdown came from. You just took away everything that I worked on, and you're telling me to do something else.
Yeah.
I understand where the breakdown came from.
You know, recently I was talking about how if I were, because Jay, I think it might have been on our phone call this week about my going on The Amazing Race or some other reality show. And one thing that I learned with Carlo, my friend's visit, and when Aiden came to visit, is a wet and tired Joe Betance is a fucking cranky ass motherfucker. And that all you have to do is exhaust me and I will turn into the fucking raging bitch, right? And so we all want to believe that if we go on these reality shows, the editors and producers would love me and I would be the hero. Everybody else would be the villain. I'm telling you right now, I would be Sherry Pie. I would be Vixen. I would be the Vixen, Sherry Pie. I would be Laganja. I would be Darien Lake ×2. And I would be the mean bitch, right? And because you get me wet, you get me wet and tired and girl, right? And so in the same thing, I'm making that point because I think you can only go so long. Because that's what the shows try and do, is they try and exhaust you and tire you and get you drunk so that you become the worst version of yourself. And I think with Gigi, I think Drag Race is also not just how good you are, but it's a test of endurance. And I think Gigi had everything planned out, and so she was very strong. And then once, I think Taylor was making this point, she petered out. She ran out of like, I'm not prepared for this. You know, and so now we're seeing the real her, and she's cracking because she's out of ideas. You know, she could only prepare so much. So, anyway, all right, let's move on. Before we do that, Taylor, just really briefly give your thoughts here, because I don't want to get you to get in trouble. Did you have any big thoughts about the one thing that maybe we would want to, okay, you know what I got? Here's what it is. 2 things you liked about the episode, 1 thing you didn't. And your thoughts on the puppet challenge.
Well, I can combine those, because the one thing I did not like was the puppet challenge. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was the worst puppet challenge that they've ever done in the show.
That's what Jay said.
Yeah, that was definitely the worst. The two things that I liked were I loved Whoopi.
Whoopi, that's her name, Whoopi.
Whoopi, I loved Whoopi. I loved Whoopi as the mentor or whatever you want to call her, and the judge. I thought that there seemed to be a level of respect that she gave these girls that we don't always see. I know that the litmus test for that is almost the Todrick sort of thing. You can compare everybody to where Todrick is as far as the far end of that spectrum. But I feel like she did a really great job of giving them things to work with. And really, she wanted to see everybody succeed. And that was nice to do that. And Whoopi's kind of one of those people that she's either very hot or cold to me, but I enjoyed her. The other thing that I liked was I liked every single look. I love the color purple, meaning the actual color purple. And I love the movie, but I loved every single look on the runway. I thought they all looked great.
All right, very good. It's Elimination Day, and Crystal wants a win before the Final Four. Jackie feels insecure impersonating her mother. Gigi's terrified of getting the shade rattle. Heidi's excited to tell the story of her family, and Jada doesn't know who Rose Nyland is. Oh, by the way, Taylor, you would have melted down before you got here. Jay couldn't give the last names of any of the Golden Girls.
What?
He thought Dorothy's last name was Dorothy Hamill.
I knew Blanche Devereaux.
Okay.
Rose McGowan.
Sofia Vergara.
That's what she said.
Yeah, see, I'm right on. Look at the Golden Girl himself.
So okay, all right. So then let me just ask you this then. This is extra credit. Can you name the last names of the 4 women on Designing Women?
What is Designing Women?
Oh. Well, call Babalu. Tell him it's going to be another long one.
I'm joking.
That's it. Okay.
No.
I was gonna say that.
No. I know Designing Women. I know Jean Smart is on Designing Women. I know Delta Burke is on it. I don't know the character names at all.
You don't even know the first names?
Nope. Deborah. Is there a Deborah?
No, there's not a Deborah.
No.
Joe, can you name the 4 women on Designing Women? Joe!
I've never seen Designing Women.
Okay.
Oh, Taylor left.
Well,
I have another phone call. I have to go.
Those heels are click-clacking out of the door.
Yeah.
Okay, in the Mixler thing, the first person who can name the first names of all 4 of the original Designing Women,
well, just look it up.
I will send.
They'll just look it up
within the next 30 seconds.
Okay,
Okay, I will send a $25 Amazon gift card to you.
Whoa!
Okay, and Cindy has the last name. It's going to be the first name. It has to be in Mixler.com's chat room.
Okay. Taylor's referring to us, the live listening chat that we're talking about.
The live chat.
But I'm not going to give the whole thing out because that's for Patreon supporters. So, well, I don't know. I'll keep
Nobody's
going.
right again. Cindy is right. Cindy Clausen has written the last 4 names.
She could write whatever name. I won't know what she's talking about. Did you ever see Designing Women, Jay?
No.
No, I didn't see it either. I know that
it's on Hulu. It's on Hulu. It doesn't hold up as well as Golden Girls.
So
does,
why would I watch
it?
it?
One of those.
I just know the guy
because
from
it was a big deal during the Golden Girls. It was where
who were the 4 leads? I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Who were the 4 leads?
I know Jean Smart, Delta
Burke, Dixie Carter, and Mary Jo. Okay, Cindy Clausen. She has the names. So there was Jean Smart played Charlene. Actually, she wrote Carlene Fraser. So that's incorrect. That was incorrect.
So
Taylor's
not going to have to pay the $25.
Okay, Delta Burke. I'll send $20 because she got it close enough.
Okay.
So Delta Burke played Suzanne Sugarbaker. Dixie Carter played Julia Sugarbaker, and Annie Potts played Mary Jo Shively.
Annie Potts. Okay.
Who did the guy from Mannequin play?
Oh, Meshack Taylor?
Yeah.
He played Anthony Bouvier.
I met Jean Smart, if that's any consolation.
Okay, that almost is because Jean Smart is a national treasure. However, the reason Jean Smart is a national treasure is because she was the heart of Designing Women.
What? Okay, that's interesting.
I almost want to do a Designing Women podcast with Jay where I make him watch episodes of Designing Women. Almost.
Yeah. What if I didn't like it though? What would that crumble you?
You would, or you would.
You just said it doesn't hold up.
I know, but that's kind of the point, is that it doesn't hold up. So when you watch it now, it's very like, oh,
yeah, kind of cringy.
I went on a Designing Women rant.
I don't even know how we got there.
But why did I go into Designing Women rant? Because he didn't know the last names of all the Golden Girls.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so really, this is all Jay's fault.
Yeah, I accept full responsibility.
Jay's ignorance just cost me $20
and your marriage. And your marriage.
And my marriage.
There's a lot on my shoulders.
Babalu can't vacuum. Babalu did all the housework yesterday. I was talking to Taylor on the phone, and it sounded like Babalu was throwing the dishes like he was having a Greek wedding.
I
did tell him what you said, and he did laugh really hard.
Oh, okay.
So,
every once in a while, you just hear Taylor go, "Opa, opa," just silently, quickly.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, Jay, did you have any big thoughts on the Elimination Day?
Can you go over that one? Are you going to cut all that out about Designing Women?
No.
Oh, it's so relevant to Drag Race. They talked. Is this the mirror moments and what was going on in there? Mm-hmm. God, I can't remember.
Here's what I'll tell you. I'll tell you this.
Okay.
This Jackie, she goes on. She goes, I don't know how my mom's going to react to me doing an impersonation of her. She doesn't even know I do drag. So in her head, her mom doesn't even know she does drag. She makes it all the way to episode 11 of the show, and then this is what sets her off. Yeah. She's like, no, oh, by the way, we didn't talk about this. Holy shit, how do we not talk about this? This is the most important thing of the show. How did I not bring that up? Oh, okay, yeah, right here. How do we not talk about Jackie's fucking bulge in the first half of the show?
I didn't even notice it.
What? Are you fucking joking me?
I was concerned about the performances, Joe. I'm not looking.
I'm telling. Oh my god, you guys are not gay. That is just as bad as the Designing Women thing.
Jay, you and I are the worst gays.
Yeah, you guys are the worst fucking gay guys of all time. I'm sure the chat room is agreeing with me here. I'm not even in the chat room. Jackie's bulge was so prominent in the first act, all the way through up until Elimination Day, because this is the same day with the rehearsal. When you see her, it's like, I can't believe she didn't poke Whoopi's eye out. You know?
So what is she wearing, like sweatpants or something?
She's wearing pants, but clearly not underwear, and it's like very, very, very prominent. And hopefully someone can put in the chat room a link to a screenshot or something. I think it's on Reddit. Humble Pie's already...
I think. It's already saved in Joe's folder. It's a desktop on Joe's laptop.
I was going to say, it's his wallpaper on his desktop right now. Not the whole.
It's my Apple Watch face.
To edit out.
Yeah, no, I didn't even notice that. Sorry,
it's
to
always
disappoint.
8:00. Anyway,
I downloaded the episode, so that will be the first thing I do after I'm chastised by my husband for running over time.
Well, let's go.
I will say, but we have to look at Jackie Cox's bulge.
Go look over there. And then point to Jackie Bulge's point to Jackie Bulge's cocks. Anyway, but you're gonna just the mom's gonna be so more upset about his fucking schwanz just hanging out all over the place that she's gonna be that the impersonation of her that's gonna push her over the edge. Is that's what's gonna push her over the edge? What did you think?
It wasn't an unflattering impersonation either. I don't think anyway.
No.
She came off great, so I wouldn't think that would be the one that broke it. She
made a good point about how one person loved him enough to support him whatever he did, and the other one was afraid of anything bad happening to him. Mm-hmm. You know? I made this point also earlier in the show, which is, maybe Taylor can speak to this. A good thing for society is that all these girls get along. There's no cattiness, there's no pettiness, there's no conflama drama or anything like that. But it's not necessarily great for the show in terms of how interesting it is. And so like this Elimination Day is very just whatever. And that's fine, but it's not great television. And the editors are trying to make it like it's a big thing, but it really wasn't.
I think that I had thought about that, and I think that an example of that kind of goes back to the beginning of the episode, something that I was prepared to talk for, but it speaks to what you're saying now, was the moment where Gigi said, I have to admit, when they said you were both safe, there was a part of me that was very like, really? Mm-hmm. And I feel like in previous seasons when this has happened, I remember Aquaria kind of throwing a tantrum on her season about that there was still the same number of girls. But this is an example of how well these girls get along, which is nice to see, but it also makes for slightly boring television, of where Heidi and Jackie were both kind of like, oh, really? But they were laughing about it. Yeah. It wasn't, there doesn't seem to be this ugliness that you have seen in previous seasons. Mm-hmm. It makes for, I almost feel like right now we kind of need that to some degree, like as a society. Mm-hmm. Like the last thing that we need is more anxiety and more drama. So in that regards, it works because it's an hour of comfort food TV. Drag Race is comfort food TV, mm-hmm. but it's also, where we're able to watch it and watch people getting along, people of different societies, people of different beliefs, people of different viewpoints, whether it's of drag or whatever, all working together to build a great product, both individually but also as a group.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. All right, well, let's move on. Now let's talk about the one-woman shows. I know Jay has notes on this. I don't know if Taylor does. I'm sure he does. You don't have notes on the one-woman shows?
No, there's only 6 of them. I remember them.
Oh, all right. Well, excuse me. All right, guys, let's address the elephant in the room here. What is it with this fakakta stupid broccoli thing that they're trying to make a thing?
I don't know.
Poor Dahlia did not sign up for this.
The level of unprofessionalism, far too much.
Do you think, her face says it all. I don't think that she's enjoying this bit at all.
No. Because it looks like she's fully beat, too. It's not even like she's a Dahlia the boy with a broccoli on her head. She had to get fully beat in the face and then sit there with a fucking broccoli on her head. And she got kicked out first.
Right.
And I hate to say, if this was like a Vanjie thing, they would have made it a moment because Vanjie was like a fun character as our first one off. With Dahlia, I couldn't tell you one thing she did in this show except be a broccoli.
Yeah.
That's it. And storm off when she was voted off or when she was eliminated.
She didn't bring the broccoli costume. They gave it to her.
Maybe they're so proud of that craftsmanship in that costume. They're like, we have got to use this as much as possible.
Same thing with the El DeBarge clip. They paid so much money for that. We're going to fucking drop that anytime we can. We paid so much fucking money for that. All right. Okay, so let's go one by one here. First up is Jackie Cox. We've kind of given our take here, but we'll go around the horn here. Taylor, your thoughts on Jackie Cox?
I thought as far as a one-woman show, it definitely it gave you an insight into who she is. Mm-hmm. And there were moments that were, funny, but they were that typical monologue funny versus something that was like a joke per se. Mm-hmm. But you definitely got to know her better.
Yeah.
There were parts of it that reminded me of there was an old SNL kit where they talked about it was a theater competition, like a high school theater competition, and Fred Armisen won for best monologuist, and he did the stereotypical where he's walking back and forth, he's going, yeah, like he's saying all of these things that are like, there were parts of it that felt like that to me, but it was still, we got to know Jackie a little bit better from it, and I enjoyed it.
Jay, your thoughts on Jackie?
Yeah, I talked a lot about her in the rehearsal section, so all I'll add is that there's 2 comedians I could think of, Margaret Cho and Kathy Griffin, who do kind of characters of their parents. And I think that that's always going to play well when you make fun of people who you let in, and an accent always kills. Like Margaret Cho does a very funny accent of her mom that's different from hers, and I think Jackie kind of leaned on that kind of style of comedy to get the laughs by making her parents have like an affectation.
Do you want to give an example of that, Jay? An example of Margaret Cho's? No, not with the accent, not with the Asian accent.
Not today. Not today. I'm usually known for it, but I just don't want to. But I just thought that was it was a good way to make that the comedy section, and then when she was addressing the audience, to make that the center and the purpose of a one-woman show.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. All right, Crystal Method. She did. I actually have the notes here because producer Luke Saman did it. So Jackie's was called Between Two Parents, but Crystal Methods was called Phenomenal Phil Exotic Dance Instructor. Your thoughts here, Jay Ellis?
We didn't talk about it in the rehearsal that much for Crystal, but her doing the jerk motion was hilarious. That made me laugh out loud. Saying that, I didn't get this as much as the judges did, I think, where I thought it was fine, but I don't think it was a one-woman show or like a one-person show. So it didn't match that for me, but I just enjoyed watching Crystal. I thought that the costuming was really fun to watch.
Taylor?
But there was a chair. Oh, sorry. There was a chair there. I was expecting like a Magic Mike moment where they pulled up somebody. Crystal had somebody up on stage with her, and that didn't happen. So I don't know if that was maybe something cut, but that was it.
All right, Taylor?
Yeah, compared to Jackie's kind of was an arc where there was a roller coaster, kind of a boring roller coaster, but a roller coaster of where you would have these moments of funny versus with moments of poignant or serious going back to funny, that sort of stuff, where it felt like Crystal's was at a 10 from the time she walked out until the time she left. It was just this crazy over the top, very physicality, very, just sort of these really weird positions she would get herself in and that sort of stuff. And in that regards, it felt very clown-like to me. There were parts of it that were funny, but I would have liked if there was a way that she could have juxtaposed that with some sort of story to who she was, other than I've worked for this person, I taught this person this. I would have liked to have seen something. This wasn't supposed to be comedy sets. This was supposed to be stories, one-woman shows or one queen shows, which allowed you to get to know people better. And she didn't, even with like when Whoopi Goldberg did her show, she played 5 different characters, but in the course of those 5 different characters, there was comedy.
But you also... are we talking about Crystal or Heidi?
Crystal.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Did I say Heidi? If I did, I'm sorry. I say Crystal. You feel like you got to know Whoopi through these characters, and I feel like we didn't necessarily get to know Crystal through Phil, the exact answer.
Oh, I see. Okay. I kind of feel I'll give Crystal the benefit of the doubt here, in that it seemed like the show wanted us to love this, but they did a disservice to the set by not showing us the whole thing. There's a part of me that wonders if we watched the entire 5-minute set, if we would have maybe gotten it a bit more, because in the 1-minute chopped up version that we saw, it was hard to tell what was going on or what the point was, other than a person doing a crazy SNL type character that did dance moves. And I think you're right, Taylor. I don't think we ever learned anything about Crystal. And it's funny because the vulnerability thing that Taylor talks about, how was Phil making Crystal more vulnerable?
Yeah.
But maybe again, I think Ru was going to laugh, and it was as we know, RuPaul likes very cheap, dumb jokes, and it was cheap, dumb jokes. All right, next we have Heidi in Closet. We'll start with Taylor. What were your thoughts here?
Too many characters, too many characters, and not enough difference between them, other than you sort of knew who people were by the grandmother with the weird squatting, and then the aunt. It was sort of under my breath. I was like, say potato salad one more time. Like it was sort of, the story didn't really stray too far from 2 people arguing about potato salad with 2 random other people. Ru said during deliberations, or said during the talking about it, that it would have been better if she just stuck to 2 characters, much like Jackie did, where they were just the 2 of them. It wasn't necessarily well thought out.
Yeah. Jay, your thoughts?
I agree with everything Taylor said, and I think the only thing that could have made this was by having props to really distinguish which character she was playing at what point, if she was going to do multiple characters. But I think she would have really strengthened this if she had stripped it down into, if she wanted to have an argument over potato salad and play these 2 characters, she could have done that.
Yeah.
It
felt in the beginning. I'm sorry.
No,
it felt very much in the beginning like, when Trinity K. Bonet, where they gave her, where she told stories about her grandmother and talking about, stop running through the house, you're going to run my lights up. And she started to tell a joke similar to that I was like, oh, this isn't good. People are going to read her to filth, because it feels like she's ripping off of Trinity.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily where it went, but it still felt Trinity's was a much better fleshed out set. That was a comedy set versus this one that was just sort of telling a story.
Yeah, here's the thing. I agree with everything you guys say. The problem is this. they did a fucking rehearsal with Whoopi and Ru. Every character that Heidi talked about in that rehearsal, she did on the stage. She did exactly, probably all the queens, she did exactly what she told them she was going to do. Ru says, maybe you should, and the judges critique, maybe she should have boiled it down to 2 characters. Yeah, you could have told her that during the fucking rehearsal that you had with her the day before. So that's the part I don't get. They're like, it's not like all of a sudden Heidi invented these characters after no, she said, I'm going to do my straight uncle or cousin. I'm going to do my drunk uncle. I'm going to do my grandma. I'm going to do my friend with the potato. She told them everything I'm going to do. And they sat there and smiled and said, okay. I feel Whoopi, when giving her a discussion about the drunk uncle, Whoopi did hint at saying, you can refer to people without having to actually do them or see them.
Yeah.
And I think we could have done that. If we would have seen maybe a conversation between the aunt with the potato salad and the grandma, and then which grandma just refers to these other people. Or maybe not even the aunt. She'd go like, oh, here comes so-and-so with her nasty potato salad,
even as Shangela has done, where she goes, "I said what?" And she turns to a part of the stage. She probably could have placed characters on different part of the stage and had one character talking, responding to these characters of what they said.
They could have given her that note in the rehearsal, though.
Yeah. I agree. That is a really major note that they knew exactly what she was doing, and then they critiqued her for what she did.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Gigi Good. Jay Ellis, give us your thoughts on Gigi Good.
Again, I kind of have said what I think could have happened here. I ruined the show by giving my thoughts too early. Mm-hmm. I think the premise is there. It's a really fun. It has a beginning, her wheeling in, a middle, her talking with everybody, and then an end, wheeling out. Mm-hmm. I think that it could have been a successful show if it was in the right hands of somebody.
Taylor?
Great concept. A great concept for exactly what Jay's saying, for the right person or the most prepared person. And she started off super strong because she knew the beginning of that speech or monologue or whatever. But then once she started referring back to her notes that she had in the back of her cart, mm-hmm. you could see it hit a pause button being hit. Mm-hmm. And you could see her starting to, okay, how do I work these jokes in? How do I work these things in? But the problem is, for her, it might have been, I'm doing this for half a second. For the rest of us, it's 5, 6, 7 seconds mm-hmm. that we're just sort of sitting there waiting for something to happen.
Well, the other thing, too, is it might have done well on stage. One thing, and this is why, there are a lot of comics who are known for their crowd work. They're really amazing at crowd work. In fact, there's one named Ian Bagg, right? He's probably the best in the business. The problem is that crowd work works really well in a live situation, but it plays horribly on TV because we have no connection to who that person is. See, with an audience, they feel they're having a special moment they're having their own unique experience with the comic, and so that's funny, and they can see this person and they can laugh. On television, it doesn't play very well, so I think maybe this played better in the studio than it did in real life. Also, it was something I noticed. This is a weird quiz here because I got it. I don't know why I got it, but do you get the mixing textiles joke, Jay?
No.
Taylor, did you get it?
It's a Bible reference.
Yeah, in the Bible, I don't know what the punishment is, but I think it's very serious, like stoned to death or something. If you wear 2 different textures, like cotton pants with like a silk blouse or something like that, right?
Oh, well, that's fun for that character. That's fun for the scenario. Then I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. What an obscure Bible reference that she's making.
Well, but nobody was going to be sitting there eating shellfish.
Yeah,
I mean, there was just something that would be one to know. I got it right away. So, he's always watching, sort of thing. It was a fun quick quip.
Yeah. But I picked up on them, like, whoa, Gigi with the textile reference. Okay, Jay, you often hear it in anti-gay, like when you're talking to someone who's anti-gay, you can say, they're like, well, it says in the Bible that you shouldn't marry a man. I think the punishment for wearing 2 different textiles might be worse than having sex with a man. Like, I think it's like a crazy, weird, strict punishment. And you're like, well, I think there's a whole thing. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay, next on the list, we have Sherry Pie. Taylor, why don't you give us your thoughts on Sherry Pie's section?
It looked like from the 6-hour extravaganza that it looked like it had the potential to be very funny, and they were definitely showing the audience very engaged in it. The fact that they were told it was supposed to be 3 to 5 minutes, and she went, was it 18 minutes? They said
17.
17 should have immediately put her in the bottom 2.
Should she have been disqualified?
I think she should have been disqualified. When Michelle said that was selfish of you, my first thought was Michelle's right, but I'm also wondering if part of the reason why this season is everybody is so nice is if Sherry is the villain that has been removed from the story. And that I'm almost wondering if part of this is Sherry, she sees Jada at this point. Jada's 1-3, which means she's now tied with, does Sherry have 3? Or does Sherry have 2 wins?
Sherry has 2.
I think 2.
Sherry has 2 wins.
Okay, so you now have a chance to take out somebody who's nervous. So we're just going to keep filibustering and we're just going to keep talking to where we ruffle the feathers of the last girl and maybe take out a strong contender. But we're not seeing that because we're not seeing confessionals and we're not seeing, interviews. I'm just starting to wonder if there's a character that's missing from this entire show other than the character that is already missing from the show.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's a weird thing I'm going to say right now. The bit seemed like it played well. It seemed like it was probably pretty funny. In fact, I watched it again this morning, you could actually see the girls laughing in the background. They cut conveniently to certain moments when, Jada's pissed and Jada's right, but the other girls are laughing. The one thing I'll give Sherry is, when you do stand up, they give you a light about a minute before you're supposed to end. And I don't get the sense that they gave her the light. And it's very difficult, and nor is it the performer's job to keep... you're supposed to make it so it's about 5 minutes, but you can lose track very easily, and that's why you need the light. And I don't think they gave her the light, nor do I think, and Lori made this point last night in the first response, that the other girls were exactly 5 minutes. I'm sure the other girls ran over by a minute or two, and they were like, okay, whatever. All right? And but they should have given her the light in some way, or flashed her and said hurry it up, but it seemed like they gave her the noose to hang herself here. And I think Sherry Pie is a ham, and she was taking all the time she can get, and no one was stopping her. And I'm not sure she was completely unawares. No, I'm not sure if she was completely aware. All right, finally.
I was going to say, I think of America's Next Top Model when they do go-see challenges where you are eliminated or disqualified if you don't make it by a certain point in the challenge. And I kind of was expecting that, where they said, you did a good job, because the sketch seemed like, or the show seemed like a fun idea or premise. But you really went over and you kind of screwed up everything. So I was kind of expecting that to be an instant issue. So that was just all I thought.
I think maybe she should have been in the bottom 4. That's sort of weird they saved her. But it's sort of. But that's a big criticism of the show. Well, boys, you know what it's time for?
Wait, Jada.
Oh, that's right, Jada. Tell us, Jada. Oh, sorry, Jada.
It's time for Jada.
It's time for Jada.
It's time for the Jada.
There's really not much to say, though. Honestly,
I didn't understand this. Was she on the ground, or was the
boyfriend on the ground? People have asked this already. Okay, I can tell you. She was judging a pageant, but she was also going to perform in the pageant, okay? At a certain point, she had to pee. Her boyfriend at the time was also named Rue, which I don't know why. That was confusing, so she shouldn't have mentioned that. But her boyfriend's name was also named Rue, so she flagged him down and said she had to go pee. So then when the performance was over, not in her performance, like a category she was judging, she ran off and grabbed her boyfriend, and they went to the restroom. And I guess she has to take off all the tucking pads and the thing, and she has to pee really badly, and she doesn't make it in time, and she pees all over her boyfriend.
Okay.
Which, by the way, let's think about the logic of that. If you have to pee that bad, you're peeing for a long time. You're telling me...
He's just like...
You let go the entire time. You just released everything, and then you don't realize your boyfriend is underneath. I could see maybe a drop comes out, and then your boyfriend gets out. Am I wrong here?
No, unless they were in a stall. If they were in a stall and he had no place to go.
Or they're into water sports. Don't kink shame.
I'm not kink shaming. Well, no, I'm not kink shaming, but
that's a good question, Jay. Taylor, would you ever let Babalu pee on you?
No. No, we eat far too much asparagus in this house. I would not let him pee on me. I said that exactly for the look that Jay gave.
Because instantly you're hit with that. I kind of like the smell.
Yeah, I kind of like the smell. No, I don't get that. That's not a thing for me. If anything, it upsets me in porn when suddenly that happens and I'm not expecting it. I'm always like, oh, no.
What porn are you watching where that suddenly happens?
Well, I'm expecting one thing and then suddenly somebody pees on somebody and you're kind of like, oh, that's not my jam.
Is that something you and your boyfriend would do, Jay?
No, it's not for either of us.
You guys seem very vanilla.
I'm proud of the people who that is for. That's just not for me.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not kink shaming. I'm just saying it's not for me.
Yeah. Have you ever peed on someone, Taylor?
No.
Jay?
No.
Only one time when I was judging a pageant and I couldn't get to the bathroom. For Jada, I just didn't think that was the story to tell to let us know about Jada. I just don't think it was the right choice. Or the timing was off. There was a lot of factors in this specific instance where I don't know if it was the right one. Mm-hmm. I was curled into a ball on my couch. I realized after she was done, because of the cringiness of it, that I was hugging myself, make it stop.
Where they clearly turned up the sound microphone, so when she's walking across the stage, where you can just hear it's like that video where they removed all of the sound from the Wendy Williams when she's walking. You have all the people doing that in the background. That's very much what it felt like.
And I do agree with Ross that when he said the moment I liked her the most in that whole thing is when she reflects on herself and she goes, "Oh, you guys aren't feeling it at all." And I let out a release, "Oh, she knows it's bad." She's not up here thinking it's great. So I liked that.
See, that's where I disagree with you, Jay, because that's almost like a rule in stand-up comedy. You don't ever acknowledge that's happening, because then it makes it makes them aware. In other words, I know she's not doing stand-up. I know she's doing a one-woman show, but the thing with stand-up, a lot of it's a very power dynamic, and so if they smell blood, you will go down even further. I don't know why that is in stand-up. I did The Moth once. And it was a very unusual feeling because everybody was rooting for you at the Moth. They were looking at you and smiling. I don't know why it doesn't stand up. When you go up and say, they're mad at you. What are you doing? It's you interrupted them. It's a weird. And that's why you have such violent terms with stand up. It's because the stand up see it as a battle with the audience. It's who doesn't want to laugh and they need to make them laugh. Killing and dying and bombing. It's they see it as a fight. And so one of the things is you don't give up that power dynamic. Taylor, you want to say something?
So why? Okay, so going back to the story. So she peed on her boyfriend, and then she went back. Yeah. And the judge asked for air fresheners.
Yeah. Which who would just have air? Oh, you mean these right here?
Because and she thought it was because did she smell like urine?
Yeah, because she thought she would smell like urine.
So she thought she peed on herself too?
I guess.
But then it was people eating hot dogs and onions?
Yeah.
But is it possible that he thought it was hot dogs and onions, but it actually was the smell of her pee?
I don't know.
The whole thing was just confusing and awkward and uncomfortable, and I'm so glad that wasn't a 17-minute story with a goldfish.
Just like the Latte household, she had just eaten asparagus as well. So she thought it was her. Yeah, it wasn't a good story. I don't think it was the right choice for this challenge.
Yeah. All right, very good. Well, boys, you know what time it is.
The looks now?
It's time for the looks. Very good, Taylor. All right, let's get this all set up here so everyone can see. Okay, here we go. Now, I don't know how we're going to do this because, Jay, the way we do it,
I know.
So
Taylor does a great job at doing it. I agree with him. I think they're all great, but I'll let Taylor describe them as they go.
Okay,
no. You can describe them this week.
The point is, you have the 3 minutes and 10 seconds it takes to watch this. Here we go. 3, 2. All right. Here we go. I don't know. You guys decide. First up, though, we have, I believe, who is? Oh, it's
it was
Jackie
Cox first.
Okay, go ahead.
So Jackie Cox came out in the Purple People Eater outfit, kind of like it reminded me of a Miley stage show that you might see where she had the tongue reveal where she pulled it out. Mm-hmm. I liked it because it was something different from Jackie, so I gave it high marks. I gave it an 8.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're doing numbers. Yeah, no, I really liked it too. I thought it was something very different from what we've seen from her, yet still staying with that 60s, 70s aesthetic. I would give it an 8 as well.
Crystal Method. Crystal Method looking like Spyro the Dragon. This was awesome. I loved how many different textiles were on it. She'd be going to hell. I love the nose pattern, the shape, the ears, everything about it. Crystal's just giving me life in this competition. This was a 10.
This was a 10 for me too. It was something that spoke very much to who she was. I loved that it was just the use of the felt like knots, kind of like you would see in a blanket that's made by kids. Just speaks to who she is.
Heidi Aphrodite.
Yeah, Heidi came out in a purple gown, very big hair. It looks fantastic on her. Her makeup is so much better than it has been. It was just a little expected. This is the richest I've seen Heidi look, though, which is great. So I gave it an 8 just because it was expected.
I would give it an 8 as well. It's very pageant, but she looks beautiful. This is probably the prettiest she's looked all season. So I would definitely give it an 8 as well.
And her makeup, I can't stress enough how much it's improved from what we've seen earlier in the season.
Gigi Good!
Gigi Good had a reference to Daphne from Scooby-Doo. The first thing I noticed was the green more than the purple, but I think that the way that she reimagined the costume was great. I loved the mesh sleeves, and she did the little dance on the runway, so she was having fun with it. I gave this a 7.
Okay, and the green, I love that shade of green. I like that she uses culture references, but this is also expected for her. I would give this a 6.
All right, very good.
Redacted. I won't talk about her. I think that this costuming, whoever made her costumes this entire season for Sherry is actually doing a fantastic job. I think that this Cheshire Cat call is very cool, and we finally have a different look. And the makeup, to be fair, was very on point.
Yes, as much as I hate it, she killed it. And I would, if I was rating it, I would rate this a 9.
Okay. I didn't give it a number, but I would agree up there.
Jada Essence Hall.
Ooh, I lived for this. I love this look. Jada has a slit down the front and into a purple dress with purple boots and a big fascinator purple hat. It's awesome. The wig is perfect, having it asymmetrical like that. This was a 10 for me as well.
This wasn't a 10 for me, but I would actually give this probably an 8. It wasn't necessarily my favorite look. It felt kind of plain in some ways compared to some of the other looks, but she did look beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
And Rue seems to be having a good time with this runway. We're watching her laugh a lot during this. So that is always fun, much like she already had horses from the Leslie Jones one. It seemed like with Whoopi and everything, they were definitely doing that she was enjoying herself, which is always fun to watch.
I also loved Rue's line about when Whoopi said, "Ooh, what a difference a day can make." And Rue says, "A little lip gloss and mascara." It was cute.
All right, very good. After the critiques and deliberation, RuPaul tells Gigi and Jackie they're safe, and Crystal Method wins her first Maxi Challenge of the season. After Sherry is safe from the bottom 3, Heidi, Aphrodite, and Jada Essence Hall are left to lip sync for their lives. The song, 1999 by Prince. After a lip sync battle for their lives, Jada is told, "Shantae, you stay," while Heidi is asked to sashay away. Taylor the Latte Boy, J. Ellis. We'll start with Taylor, though. Any final thoughts on the episode? Anything we missed? On all your notes, is there anything you wanted to say that we didn't get to?
On my reams and reams of paper of notes, I would say I was very pleasantly surprised by the song for the lip sync, but it made purple sense. It made purple sense. I swear I didn't do that on purpose. I swear I didn't do that on purple.
I'm thinking about buying a purple mattress, by the way. Do you know anyone who owns one?
I do know some. Okay, I suddenly can't talk. I do know someone who owns a purple mattress. Yes.
Does this person like the purple mattress?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Go ahead. We'll talk later. Go ahead.
Okay. Can I get a purple mattress?
They're not a sponsor.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if I can't get away luggage, can I get a purple mattress? The other thing was, I thought that it was smart that Jada removed the wig for the short hair reveal, because it also reminded me in some ways sort of Prince's hair. So there was almost like when we saw with Naomi did the Prince look a couple of seasons ago, or she did that on All Stars. Mm-hmm. It was similar to that, but she also gave me very much not only just Prince, but Sheila E. Sheila E. went through a phase, not with The Glamorous Life, but her second album, she had hair very similar to that with that color, and used to wear outfits that were very much with the high boot and the big shoulder pads and stuff. So it was almost like she was lip syncing a Prince song to in like Sheila E. drag. And I am a huge Sheila E. fan from back in the day and loved everything about that. So it was a strong lip sync from Jada. But I expected that because she did so great when she lip synced the first time.
Jay?
Yeah. I agree. I think that the wig change was very necessary for this look. I think that it still fit the outfit as well. So her having that reveal was fun, because to have your face blocked by that hat would have been doing you a disservice. Very rarely do we see contestants come back from 4 lip syncs. So I think we saw the writing on the wall that Heidi was going home. And I was bummed to lose Heidi, but to lose to Jada, it was a good lip sync to go out on. I think that was a good song. And they both did great.
Yeah, I thought it was a good lip sync. It was a good lip sync, and it was a good battle between friends. Jay, have you gotten all your thoughts and notes all taken care of? You said everything you have to say here.
The only thing I have that I did not bring up was with Gigi. I put Gallagher because of all the props that she had. But I think it worked because she had to hide them in the cart in order to make it work. And I know she was going back to check her notes. But really, that's the only thing I have in my notes that I am pulling up. But I think I said everything I want to say.
All right. What about you, Taylor?
I've said everything I want to say.
All right. Well, then that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12. So, for Taylor the Latte Boy, Jay Ellis, give your plugs. Where can people find you?
Instagram at don't_be_jealous and Twitter at still_jealous.
All right. For Jay Ellis, Taylor Latte Boy, and myself,
sashay away. Until next week.
Thank you for listening to RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Email us at dragracerecap@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Drag Race Recap. If you want access to more Season 12 content, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can follow Taylor the Latte Boy on Twitter and Instagram at PIMCTaylor. Follow Joe Betance on Twitter and Instagram at Joe Betance. That's JoeBetance. The theme song was written by Lucian Piani and arranged and performed by Alex Lefebvre. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.